On my lands, here we are with another show for you today. My name is Jay Connor, also known as the Private Money Authority, and I have an amazing guest with me today. She's a dear friend. We're in a mastermind together. But before I bring her on, let me tell you just a little bit about my guest. First of all, I just want you to imagine that you are like getting up super early in the morning, you're getting yourself together, you're taking your shower, you're getting ready for work, you're getting the kids, if you got kids, out of bed, you're hurrying them up to get them ready to take them off to daycare because you've got to get, to work fast. You're taking your kids to daycare. You really can't even afford the daycare that you're taking your kids to. You're in rush hour traffic, you're stressed out, and you're even dreading the moment where you park on a lot, and then you got to be shuttled to your cubicle where you're going to be logging in. You're going to get ready for this rah-rah session first thing in the morning to help build your confidence and get your energy going, get you all hyped up to talk to people over the phone and sell them a service that you don't even understand. And in addition to that, you don't even really care about it. Now, let's change gears. Imagine getting pumped up and picking up the phone to make your first sales call, and now anxiety hits you like boom in your chest. Not your typical anxiety either. What I'm talking about is sweaty palms, nervous jitters, and your heart is palpitating. Well, what I just described is what happened to my dear friend and my guest. This happened to her back in September 2015. She found herself in the back of an ambulance being rushed off to the hospital with, thank the Lord, a misdiagnosis of a heart attack, and she was only 30 years old at the time. Well, that's her backstory. At that time, she was unhappily married, 2 children, 5 and 6 years old. She was spiritually confused, financially broke, bankrupt, foreclosures, debt collections, multiple failed businesses, you name it, she went through it. But guess what? Late one night, it was about 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning, she was praying to God, asking God to deliver her from her stress, deliver her from the anxiety, the uncertainty of what the future holds. And she wasn't even asking to be rich. She was asking God to just give her peace. Well, guess what? God answered her question with a yes. She coincidentally, and my definition of coincidence is God's way of staying anonymous. She coincidentally, quote unquote, ran across this YouTube video, and it was titled How to Make $12,000 in 37 Days by Being a Real Estate Investor. That was the key for my guest. She was broke, but she was able to get a credit card for people with bad credit. It was $175 that she got to buy bandit signs to start putting them out. And that's how she got her first deal. She had passion. She had drive. Combined with trial and error, she put a blueprint together. Well, now, today, my guest is living a very, very different life. She makes multiple 6 figures. She owns 7 figures of real estate. She travels, she lives, she works when she wants to, and she gives generously back. And her goal is for you to experience the same thing. And I'm so excited to have my guest that I just introduced, Brittany. Brittany, are you there? Brittany Thompson.
Hey, that was beautiful.
Hello, Brittany.
Beautiful.
So I lost
Beautiful.
Brittany. Scott, Sharif, can you hear me?
Uh-oh.
Okay, I'm going to have to sign out and sign back in if y'all can hear me. I'll leave the studio. I'll be.
Well, Brittany, it's you and me.
Hey.
I don't know what happened to Jay. So tell us a little bit about, Jay gave a great introduction, but tell us a little bit about, why did you decide real estate, and why did you take that risk?
You know what? I found myself in a place. Oh, he's back. Hey, Jay.
This world of YouTube and Facebook and all that stuff just ticks me off when I don't want to be kicked off. But anyway, back to where I was, Brittany. Welcome to the show. Well, I got to tell everybody. I mean, obviously, everybody just heard your story that I told, but I got to tell everybody. You know, you and I are in a mastermind group together, and I literally ran you down to get you invited here on the show because I saw a clip of you on another podcast. A real good friend of ours, Al Nicoletti, was having you on his show, and I just could not believe the energy that you were exuding on his show. My first question for you, Brittany, is where do you get all that energy from?
Because I serve an amazing God and he gave it to me.
That is fantastic. Well, you know, I'm a firm believer, Brittany, that people attract into their lives the same kind of people that they are, you know?
Yes. Yes.
I don't know who came up with the phrase opposites attract. That's like stupid. I want to be around people that are like me, you know? And so,
Yes.
I mean, I just felt your spirit. I felt your love. I felt your generosity just by, you know, listening to you talk and, you know, watching you on that show. So I couldn't wait to get you scheduled to get you here on the show. So, you know, in the introduction, we know what your motivation was. You had a lot of motivation to change your life. But what was it about real estate? I know you came across the YouTube video late in the night, you know, how to make $12,000 in 37 days. But what was it about real estate, or what was it about that YouTube that really attracted you and got your attention?
Such a great question, Jay. And thank you for having me here. You know, it came to a point where I tried everything, right? And what's interesting with that is though I tried everything, I didn't involve God in anything. And that's just one of those truths that I've accepted in this moment, right? And being there on that couch, it could have been any industry, it could have been any opportunity. But I believe that because I got centered, I was like, okay, I've done enough on my own to realize that it doesn't work. God, you do you. And whatever comes up, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm just going to depend on you the whole way through to guide me, give me wisdom, give me clarity, and give me discernment. And I tell you, it made sense. And what's even more interesting is every industry that I've been in prior, every job that I had worked prior, every experience that I had prior, I feel like prepared me for this.
Oh, absolutely. You know, sometimes people will ask me, well, Jay, if you had it to do all over again, what would you do different? And my answer is what you just said. I wouldn't do anything different. You know, I have sinned and made mistakes just as bad as anybody else in the past. And I regret a lot of things that I've done, but I wouldn't change anything that I've done in history because you wouldn't be where you are today without your past. I wouldn't be where I am today without my past. I mean, I became the private money authority because of a big challenge in my real estate investing business. So you're right. The past is what has brought us to where we are. Now, Brittany, you experienced something that is common among new real estate investors, and that is it took you a while from the time you started to actually get your first deal. If I remember correctly, I think it took you about 9 months from the time that you started to get your first deal. But then once you got that first deal, you like exploded. So here's the question. What mistakes did you make? Maybe you can't name them all, but what are some of the main primary mistakes that you made in those first 9 months when you started out in real estate investing? And what lessons did you learn from those mistakes that, you know, people can learn from?
Great question. So it's funny because nowadays real estate education is everywhere. And believe it or not, I ran into that problem back then. I was following everybody. I was following everything. If it was shiny, I was like, okay, this must be it. This must be within the real estate world, right? And because of that, I could never get focused. I could never be intentional about following a specific path, which is why I teach that to get my first deal with the blueprint. Because when we look, it's just like in our education system as a whole. You have kindergarten, you have middle elementary, you have high school and college. Well, I needed that in real estate. And after 6 months of chasing everybody, getting my PhD in YouTube University, I said, you know what? This works, but all of this doesn't work. I need to just pick something. And I guess I just drilled down on bandit signs. I don't even know why. Like I said, it could have been mailing, but it was bandit signs. And I tell you, going out for 3 or 4 weekends in the middle of the night, look, a mother, a wife, I had my husband with me riding shotgun sometimes. I had my parents climbing in the back seat because everybody was like, what is she doing? Why is she going out in the middle of the night in East Egypt, which was like 30, 45 minutes from where I live? That's what we call East Egypt. I was looking for the promised land is what I was looking for. that's really what it was about, right?
Well, hey, look, you call it East Egypt, I call it Hullup Scullup. Hullup Scullup is like way far out there. I'm sorry, go ahead. So what happened in East Egypt?
I learned a lot about myself. I learned what it looked like to pick something at that time, like I said, bandit signs, and just stay really consistent there. Like I was going to now it may seem like I was putting like 100 out. I was putting out like 10 because I was overthinking it. I was like, this is too many. This is the wrong place. Just any objection that we give ourselves in the beginning of our journey, I was giving myself that after overcoming analysis paralysis for 6 months. Okay, so I go out and my mom says, babe, look, start where you are. Look at what you have. Stop driving across the city, the state. Go home, plant, and see what happens. And I tell you, now there are a lot of things that I don't listen to my mom about that I should, but thank God I listened to her in that moment. Because as soon as I put some signs out, which I don't condone because everybody's got rules and laws, right? But I didn't know what I didn't know. As soon as I put that sign out, I got a call, and I got the call in the area where the property was. So I put the sign out like on a Friday or something. I was driving for dollars in a specific area. And while driving for dollars, I got a call for a property in the area I was driving for dollars in at that time. Crazy. And just figuring it out, having conversations, being more interested in the homeowner, figuring out what their problem was. It was a tenant occupied property that'd been there forever. And just ended up building relationships, going to RIAs, finding another wholesaler that had a buyer. We met, the deal worked out. And I remember look, it's so funny. I talk about this on podcast. I remember sitting at the closing table, getting ready to sign documents. And I'm like, oh my gosh, is this really working? And getting the check, getting the HUD, the finalized HUD, going to the bank, going to the closing attorney's bank, because I still wasn't sure with that check, getting the cash in a bag. I know that sounds it sounds crazy, but that's just my life. And sitting in the car and just weeping because I had been on a journey. Remarkable journey, and it worked, Jay. And it still works, and it blows my mind that this thing still works. And I get to do it.
I love you, Brittany Thompson. One thing I love about you is you don't mind taking your filter off, because we all have filters, but you don't mind taking your filter off and telling people really what it's like. So I'm interested, Brittany, you've been doing this for a while now. How are some different ways that you have funded your deals?
Jeez. You know, I've not used my own cash or credit, right? I've not done that. I've either had another buyer fund the deal with it being a wholesale deal. I've had private lenders that I've built relationships with through masterminds. That's where our second real power lender came from. Family that over time saw what we were doing and believed in us enough to say, I want to try it too. And that's another thing. People that get involved in real estate, we get excited and we want everybody to do it with us, but we have no track record. As a matter of fact, the track record we have is nobody would invest in that track record. So we're like, nobody believes me, nobody supports me. No, you just need to get out and take some action and get some results. Sidebar. Now, back to what I was going to say. Hard money. My husband and I have your book. We've had the privilege of learning from you. I mean, it's just a matter of finding somebody that's a master at what they do, like yourself, and following that path.
That is awesome. Well, I'm so glad that you mentioned that, one of the main ways you funded the deals, and you get to choose which deals you want to stay in, is private money. And, the two biggest questions I hear from people all the time, particularly new real estate investors, is how do I find the deals and how do I get the money to fund the deals? Of course, like you said, they don't know what they don't know. They don't know about wholesaling. They don't know about subject to and creative terms. But you and I know in the real world, that seller, the majority of them is going to want all the money, right? So, Brittany, if you will bear with me for 20 seconds, I want to tell the listener exactly what I've just done. I just finished writing a new private money guide, and it's free. It's downloadable. And this private money guide will get you on the fast track to getting hundreds of thousands of dollars in private money to fund your deals. And here it is. It's titled The 7 Reasons Why Private Money Will Skyrocket Your Real Estate Business and Help You Build Incredible Wealth. You can download it for free at www.jayconner.com/money guide. That's jayconner, jayconner.com/money guide. And that will get you on the fast track to private money. And like myself, you'll never miss out on another deal for not having the funding. So, Brittany, I have another question for you.
Yes.
And that is, I've been full-time at this since 2003. And I would say the last year and a half to 2 years, and you may agree with me, have been the most challenging on actually locating and finding motivated sellers. For one reason, there's no inventory. There's nothing in the multiple listing service. And so what's really interesting is the past 2 years, even though it's more challenging, I've made more money and done more deals in the past 2 years than I've ever done in any years. I could have never guessed that it was going to turn out this way. I'm in a small market. My total target market's only 40,000 people. I've got 8 different ways that myself and my team use every day for getting off-market houses or off-market sellers, people that are not in the multiple listing service. That being said, what are your top ways that are working today in this market for you and your students to find motivated sellers?
I feel like that's like, what's the golden key to get into the treasure box?
That's right.
You know what? I don't pull lists. I've done that before, and I don't do that. And so to answer your question, I do the most simplest thing that people say but don't do. I drive for dollars physically and virtually. And that's what I actually teach my students. I teach them how to follow a blueprint, if you will. And you know what? What's interesting is what you said before when you were speaking of, you having multiple ways of getting leads and things like that. The one thing you said is your target market. And that's the one thing that gives my students and myself the success we have, aside from referrals and things like that, is knowing your market so well that when people have an opportunity in your market, they don't try to fool with it. They go to you. And the only way that happens is by educating. Look, I teach my students the minutia. I teach them pick a zip code, right? I say, look, drive the streets of that area. Does it look retail or does it look rental? Are there cars on blocks or are there beautiful shutters? Is it beautifully landscaped? What year were the houses made? What style? What tradition? What's the city's planning and zoning in the next 10 years or in the next 100 years for that area and the outskirts? When you become a master, an expert of your market, it doesn't matter if there's there is nothing on the MLS for the next 6 months, it's irrelevant. Because if you know your market, you know it so good that you know deals before they even come to the MLS. That's the key. And
Absolutely. So Brittany, so you said you don't pull lists anymore. So I want to pull the curtain back here and make sure that that everybody is understanding this. So you don't pull lists. First of all, tell people what that is that you do not do anymore. What do you mean when you say you don't pull lists?
Great question. So with a lot of gurus and gurus out there will encourage you to go to something like ListSource or some other website and pull a list, which I think is great. It works depending upon how a person wants to build their business and all that type of thing. But I don't subscribe to that. I don't go and buy the same data information in the same concentration as other people and expect a different result. That's insanity.
There you go. Brittany, just in case someone has to leave the show before we finish, I want everyone to be sure and hear how they can be in touch with you. You specialize in helping people get their very first real estate deal. So how can people connect with you and learn how to do it?
Great question. So to learn more about me, they can go to sheskillingit.com to learn my story. If they're interested in learning more about real estate, if they just want to know what they don't know or just want to check it out, I recommend them go to getmyfirstdeal.com and actually register. What I do is I do regular monthly 5-day free challenges where I give the whole blueprint. I hold no punches. You can take all the information and go and get a deal. Like me, I've earned well over $40,000+ on one street using the methodology that I share. And so I want to welcome anybody. There's a challenge going on this week. There'll be one going on next month. Go to getmyfirstdeal.com and register and get ready to see the truth, because that's what I'm going to give you.
That's what I love. So that again is www.getmyfirstdeal.com. Brittany's giving it all away. She's doing a challenge every week. You can also connect with her after you register for that training. You can connect with her at www.sheskillingit.com, just like it sounds. SHESKILLINGIT.com. She's killing it. And Brittany Thompson, you are killing it. That is for sure. What are you more passionate about, Brittany? Doing deals or coaching and teaching other new real estate investors?
That's so good. I'm more passionate about disrupting the industry and helping other people do something that they thought they never could do. And that's get their first deal in real estate. I could care less about the deals.
And why are you passionate about helping these people? I think I know the answer. I think it has something to do with your past and where you came from.
Yes, because I needed me when I was going through my season, my journey. I wanted to live in a place where this isn't a virtual background, where this is a real background. This is, and I want to show people how they can do it too. You don't have to go to a 9-to-5. You don't have to work 2 jobs. You don't have to lay away. You don't have to do all the things that society and what we learned in college that you have to do to be successful, to live the dream. No, real estate is a great vehicle. There are a lot of great vehicles. You just got to get behind the right people and have some faith and take some action. Let's go.
I love it, Brittany. Now, next question. You focus and you've have your students focus on getting their first deal by very strategically focusing on one main strategy. That's driving for dollars in person, there in the neighborhood, and also driving for dollars virtually. How does somebody drive for dollars virtually?
It's a great question. Oh my goodness. So within my blueprint, I teach the free way and the paid way. And I use something called Deal Machine, which actually has a feature where you can drive physically in person, or maybe if you don't have time, maybe you're a corporate or executive and you want to get in real estate, but you just don't have all that free time. Then I show you how to take someone like a virtual assistant or remote employee and show them how to do it. Give them the tools so that they can do what they need to do. I walk you through how to get in touch with the homeowner, and then how to make sure that you're talking to people that are motivated. So I address all of those things, but that's how you do it. Or you can just use a legal pad.
I love it. Brittany, next question. What does your team look like? How many people you got working with you? Are you a one-woman show? Have you got an acquisitionist? What does your business look like as far as people working with you?
Such a good question. I have my family of 5, me, my husband, and my 3 kids.
And that's it.
Lean and mean.
Well, shoot, I would say your overhead is like very, very low, right?
I have to feed them and put clothes on their back. No, but in all seriousness, my children, we showed them a different way of living, and they become voice boxes. Where we go, my daughter can pitch better than I don't even have to say anything. She like, my mommy shows people how to get their first deal in real estate. Do you want to invest in real estate?
I love it. I love it. Now, as far as your own personal deals go, when you're not teaching other people, I know you've done it all. You've wholesaled, you've stayed in deals because you talked about using private money. But over the course of your career, what would you say, what percentage of your business was wholesaling deals to other real estate investors and you getting an assignment fee? And what percentage of them did you stay in and actually take them all the way through yourself and flip them?
I tell you, in the beginning, I wholesale 100% of them. And then there was this one where the end buyer didn't want one of the properties in a 7-pack portfolio. And that was my first bit of exposure to having a property without any debt, and it was cash flowing with the Section 8 tenant. And I tell you, now it had bumps and bruises, but I could see that, 1, I could do this again, right? But 2, wow, you mean to tell me this would allow me to make an income without the rigmarole of constantly having to do deals? And let me preface this correctly. My husband and I believe in having a vision. We believe in doing things in accordance to that vision. And all that means is we don't believe that we have to work to live. We don't have to do that. Not in the traditional sense of a job or toiling. No, we believe our gifts make room for us. So our ability to network and navigate and teach and connect and receive referrals, right? Now we keep more of our deals if they are specific to cash flow. It's so important for us to have money that comes in that we didn't have to go get.
That makes sense. On your wholesale deals, what is the average in today's market? What's the average assignment fee? Well, first of all, tell me what an assignment fee is. What's an assignment fee?
An assignment fee is a spread. The difference, the margin of money that a wholesaler makes between what they get the contract with the homeowner for and what they end up selling that said contract to the end buyer for. The difference, if they have a property on the contract for $100,000 and they sell it to an end buyer, sell their interest in the property to an end buyer for $110,000, they make the difference between $110,000 and $100,000, which is $10,000.
Yeah. What would you say the average assignment fee is with you and your students these days? And I know it varies.
No, and it does vary, especially in Birmingham. The average assignment fee in Birmingham is between $5,000 to $8,000. My assignment fees, I've had a couple of those, but a lot of them are like $18,000, $40,000. I had a 6-figure one because you have to know your market.
I got it. So what would you say in the course of your career, and of course you've experienced it with your students as well, what would you say is the biggest, most important lesson you've learned in this business?
That's a great question. Principles.
Principles. So explain yourself. Principles.
So each person that we know associates themselves with certain principles. They make decisions based off of certain ideals or thinking, right? And what I learned is if I can bring in, it's my faith, doing the right thing, putting others before myself, always making sure that I leave people better than I find them. And no matter what deal or opportunity I enter into, I bring that principle, the principle of loving people. This is going to sound crazy. The principle of loving people. And I've seen that allows me to empathize, that allows me to communicate, to make sure that I have a healthy perspective going into each opportunity. And it lets you know which deal is good for you, or which deal might need to go to somebody else. How much time to invest? What's the true solution? Because whether we believe it or not, a lot of people get into real estate just to make money. And while I understand that, there's also some things at play, right? It's not just about making money. Money has an energy. And if you get money using negative stinking thinking and an improper perspective and bad principles, that money's not going to work for you. It's not long term, right? So I believe in operating from a principles way of doing things.
I love it, Brittany. And I'll tell you why I agree with what you just said. In my previous careers in the past, every time, 100% of the time that I got involved in a venture or I got involved in any kind of business, and the only reason that I was involved in that business was to make money, I failed miserably. Mm-hmm. In fact, most of the time, nothing ever happened. It never even got off the ground. So the reason I agree with what you just said, and that is lead with love. It reminds me of the great late Zig Ziglar, and I'll paraphrase what he said, but he said, you help enough other people get what they want, you're going to have way more than you need or want yourself. You don't have to worry about yourself if you're actually serving other people. And I'll just share real quick. I mean, this show's about you, Brittany, but I want to share this with you and everyone. So, for example, here's how myself and my team lead with love, just like you said. So we direct mail and we track every foreclosure, pre-foreclosure, foreclosure in our market. People that are behind on their payments, they've been served a notice of default, but they haven't gone to sale. And when they respond to our marketing, Brittany, you know that one of the first questions we ask them, do you want to keep your home?
Wow.
And if they say yes, we've got a checklist of 10 ways that they can possibly keep their home. And if one of those ways works for them, we make $0 on that deal. And if
wow.
and the way I leave, if we can help somebody keep their home, help them that they don't have to go through the foreclosure process, I've helped them. But because of the law of reciprocity, and
yes,
what do? You don't reap what you reap. You don't reap what you take. I'm gonna let you finish the sentence, Brittany. You reap what you
sow.
What you sow. It's
right.
It's all in the sowing.
Yep, principles.
It's all in the sowing. It's all in the giving, right? It's all in the planting that brings forth the harvest. I'm so glad. And I had no idea what your answer was going to be. I didn't know what your answer was going to be on any of these questions. But by knowing your spirit and knowing your heart, I'm not surprised at all that you answered the question, what's the most important lesson anybody could learn? And that is lead with love, with the principle, foundational. My lands, Brittany, I'm going to let you wrap it up. If you could only give one piece of advice, what would that be? Or any parting comment that you would like to say?
I am often asked, how does a person know, especially when getting into real estate investing, how does a person know who? Like who to learn from, who to glean from, just who? And my resounding, never changing response is, you can tell a lot about a tree by the fruit it bears. So whomever a person decides, if they want to follow me, look at the way I live my life. Look at the way I treat my husband, how I treat my kids, how I treat others in business, how people respond to me. And if you want that for your life, then we can have a conversation. But if there is somebody, if you are attracted to the Bentleys and the Rolls Royces and all of that, and there's no shade, if that's what you want, then you need to get mentorship and coaching from that person. Just understand you got to give something in order to have it. Now, what are you willing to give?
Absolutely. Well, folks, Brittany Thompson, you can take up her offer on her 5-day challenge. She's not going to hold anything back at www.getmyfirstdeal.com. And you can also connect with Brittany Thompson at her website, www.sheskillingit.com. Brittany, I love your heart. I love you. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Well, folks, there you have it. Another show. I'm Jay Connor, the Private Money Authority, wishing you all the best. Here's to taking your business to the next level. And we always appreciate so much the shares, the likes, subscribing. If you happen to be watching on YouTube, be sure and hit that ring. Hit that bell so that you don't miss any notifications on upcoming shows. I look forward to seeing you right here on the next show for my next amazing guest. All right, Brittany.